What is up, watch fam? I am Christian, the curator of the Theo and Harris Vintage Watch Shop.
And I am Anna, the director of content.
And today, we're going to be talking about a couple of different things. The biggest topic on the docket today is how to avoid getting burnt in the vintage watch business, or the watch business in general. It is a crazy market out there. Scammers have a lot to gain by screwing you. And in any market like that, you gotta be careful. So we're talking about that. We're also gonna talk about the Oscars. It's gonna be a fun episode.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Boom, watch fam.
Great. Go ahead.
All right, I'm wearing a Rolex GMT Master reference 1675 with beautiful custard lume. It's mint, and this watch is available in the Theo and Harris watch shop. I'm partial to the GMT. I like it more than the sub. No disrespect to you sub people out there. It's just like a watch I feel
Personal taste.
connected to.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you wearing?
I'm wearing my Universal Genève pull router, my one and only, on a T&H Sark strap that I've had for like, I don't know, has it been 2 years? And it's in incredible condition.
Well, the Sark strap is amazing, but
Yeah.
that watch was the first watch you ever owned.
It's
and
true.
you got it shortly after starting Theo and Harris.
I think it was like 8 months in.
And Theo and Harris basically started 5 years ago today.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5 years ago today was when I called you and said, hey, I need a bunch of photos of watches. It's kind of my company. And
A little more
not...
frantic than that, but yes.
Play the audio.
Anna, please call me back. I need you.
5 years ago today, guys. Jesus. We're going to do a big celebration at some point. You guys will all be involved, I promise. Great. Let's get into the first question.
Let's do it.
All these questions were submitted to us via Instagram. So if you don't already, follow us on Instagram at Theo and Harris. We post a ton of watches and watch porn and some clothing and style as well. So yeah, follow us at Theo and Harris. Okay, first question is about the Oscars. What were your favorite watches that were on the Oscar red carpet?
The only one I think that I immediately noticed was the Octo Finisimo on Antonio Banderas' wrist.
Yeah.
Which was great. And really interesting because I would not pair that watch at first, with the outfit he was wearing and with something that formal.
Yeah, it's tuxedo. You wore
Because it's
tuxedo.
really, it's very like rugged and angled and kind of tough looking.
Whoa.
It looked good,
What
but
do you think when you think of tuxedo? You think of Cartier tank. You think of very refined watches, and the Octo Finisimo is one of the best watches in the market at the moment. Really, even up to $20,000, and that watch is just around 12 or 10.
Yeah.
So
It's a great watch.
amazing watch. But you're right.
Yeah.
Is that a tuxedo watch? I don't know. But that's my observation.
but it did look cool.
It's a gorgeous watch.
Yeah, it looked great.
Yeah, I love that watch.
Did you notice any others on the red carpet?
Yeah, I mean, well, Mark Consuelos, right? I don't even know who he is. I know he's Kelly Ripa's husband, but I don't know what he does. I don't
He's
know.
in Riverdale.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's why. Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. I know that on his right wrist he wore a yellow gold Cartier Juste Clou, which I can't help but to admire. Really cool little accessory.
Yep.
And on his left wrist, he wore a Rolex Daytona, reference 6263 in yellow gold. When I saw him on the red carpet, I saw the Juste Clou and I said, oh wow, cool. And then I saw a gold Rolex, gold oyster bracelet. I didn't know what it was. I said, oh, maybe it's a rainbow, maybe it's a Yachtmaster. I don't know, but the last thing I thought it was going to be would be a vintage Daytona, and I was so glad that it was.
Very cool.
I don't know Mark Consuelos. His tuxedo did not fit. I doubt he cares. He's a very handsome guy, and he's got everything going for him, right? So I don't think he cares. But what a pick. I don't know anything about you, Mark Consuelos, but you have incredible taste in watches. Just incredibly, I would say envious, but I admire your taste. Really good and
really
atypical
cool.
pick. So good for you, Mark.
Wasn't Ryan Seacrest also wearing a vintage Daytona?
Yeah, in steel.
And his suit also didn't fit?
Yeah, Ryan Seacrest also. Yeah, his tuxedo, his dinner jacket didn't fit either.
Yeah,
it was weird. But yes, 6263 Daytona, silver dial, obviously black acrylic bezel. Great watch, but
yeah,
so wrong, I think, for that outfit. Tangentially, no one can tell you your watch is wrong with your outfit. If that's where you feel comfortable, then go right ahead for it. It's amazing. I just personally subscribe to a different aesthetic. I think that, you know, everything should all make sense together. You know, I love my Breitling Super Ocean Heritage. I would never wear it with a tuxedo. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. You know.
Yeah.
I would wear a Cartier tank or a you know a different ultra thin, very fine watch.
Like Reverso.
Something like
Even
Humphrey
super
Bogart
small.
would wear.
Yeah.
You know?
I would love to see a bubble back one of these days.
Well, I think that Ryan Seacrest
Honestly.
may have worn a bubble back at one point.
Oh, okay. See, I think that's a really cool.
Did I just say Ryan Seacrest?
You did.
I meant Ryan Gosling. Yeah. Anyway.
Looking guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, great watches.
Next question, is the Rolex Oysterquartz a hot watch?
What do you think?
I think it's cool. Like, yeah, I think it's very cool. And it's a Datejust. I like Datejusts. It's cool. It doesn't, to me, like, the look, I'm like, yeah, oh yes, Rolex Datejusts are cool. Yeah, it's cool. I don't love that it's corny, but...
Really? See, yeah, it doesn't bother me at all.
Well,
I mean,
unless it's a gigantic price drop, then I'm like,
yeah, I guess
You know?
you're right. I don't know. I don't know this. Right? I don't know if what I'm about to say is true. Right? But
that's a great start.
Yeah, a lot of mechanical movements are mass-produced. You know, Rolex didn't have a hard time manufacturing the movements that fit in their Datejusts. Right? These were watches that Rolex was able. These are movements that Rolex was able to do en masse. Right? It was one of the most popular watches, if not their most popular watch. So the supposition that the quartz watch required, you know, less than the mechanical watch, I think isn't true. I think it's a fallacy. I think the fact that Rolex, through R&D and through so much, you know, money and time, went in the direction of quartz at the time, which was the future, probably means that was hotter. That may have been even more expensive in many ways to produce. You know, not necessarily unit by unit, but as an effort. Automatic doesn't necessarily mean good. Well, mechanical doesn't mean handcrafted. You know, and that's a big, you know, a little bit of knowledge is a very dangerous thing. The world of watches is so incredibly vast that people say, okay, how do I simplify this? Mechanical good, quartz bad, there you go. Not necessarily the case at all, in fact. So in that way, Oysterquartz great. I also think the design's very cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
It's way sportier than the traditional Datejust, so it's not my thing. I like refined Datejusts. So very simply, I'm a regular Datejust guy.
Yeah.
But if you like that aggressive, very gentle look, Oysterquartz is killer.
Yeah. So hot watch.
Hot watch.
Hot watch.
It's hot or not. Ich don't think so. What's up?
If they are in, we go, what's up? Yeah, you go, what's up? And if they are out, you go, ich don't think so. And you go like that, yeah?
Okay, let's transition to our next conversation here. And this is the big conversation of the day about vintage watches, right? There's a lot of news constantly, if you're tuned in, to a lot of the problems associated with not just vintage watches, but all difficult, very complex markets, whether it be art or vintage watches or homes. I see so many people that they'll buy a home, a brand new, gorgeous home that inevitably has, you know, consistent issues, right? Things that were overlooked. Why? Because there are so many variables. You bought something with hundreds upon hundreds of variables. So doing your due diligence, being safe and not getting hurt is inherently much more difficult in complex fields like vintage watches than it is elsewhere. Right? Very recently, there was a member of the watch community that actually was sold a fake watch by a YouTuber. It's horrible. It's horrible. I'm so glad that was resolved and someone got their money back. But these things do happen. Now, what was particularly scary about that situation is it seems that, you know, the seller had, you know, malicious intent, but in so many scenarios, sellers don't have malicious intent. There have been lawsuits about this. There was a big lawsuit between John Mayer and a famous watch dealer about this. I'm not necessarily saying that you sold me a watch you knew was fake, but you sold me a watch that was incorrect, which means it might as well have been fake, and I spent millions of dollars and I want my money back.
Yep.
Right? So there are situations like this all the time due to the complexity of the business. Now, how do you fix this? Of course, you deal with experts. You deal with people that are swimming in their lane, people that have done incredible amounts of research, have handled these pieces hundreds of times, thousands of times. A good friend and a mentor in many ways, John Buckley, who's a vintage watch dealer, parts dealer, wholesaler as well, told me when I just got into this business, I mean like a year in, he said, you'll never be truly knowledgeable about something that you haven't held a million times. And he's right, you know, and he was kind of referring to this whole new era of watch authorities that they've never held the things they're talking about. They can talk about different mark dials, but they've never held it. They don't know the complexities and the nuances, right? And in turn can identify the things. Yes, it is a scary world out there, and you have to deal with people that are, one, experts in their field, and two, people who have integrity. Because when there are mistakes, those people will ultimately be there to help you. Yep. People that will give you a refund immediately as long as all is kosher. People who have reputations to lose. And if not just reputation, they have to sleep at night. You know?
Right.
So many of the people that I associate myself with in business would never dream of screwing anyone, whether they could write a review or not. You know? That being said, there are other people out there, there are other issues. And some brands are taking a very interesting approach to this. Two brands, most notably, Vacheron Constantin and F.P. Journe. Both of these brands have launched, not just yesterday, but in the last years or so, programs where they curate a collection of their brand's vintage watches.
Okay.
So you buy a pre-owned or vintage F.P. Journe from F.P. Journe, and the same thing goes for Vacheron Constantin. Yeah. So it's interesting, right? Because the implication with that is that it's either an F.P. Journe certified vintage / pre-owned, or it's not reliable. Same thing goes for Vacheron, right? Mm-hmm. This is the top tier, and then there's everyone else. But that's not necessarily true, while it's the perception.
Yeah, I mean, the two are definitely not mutually exclusive. I mean, there are reputable dealers and sites, tons of them, that have been selling real Vacheron Constantin and real F.P. Journe. So, you know, just because F.P. Journe and Vacheron are claiming that these are real doesn't make everything else not real.
Of course.
And another thing you have to think about is, like, these companies don't have, like, reserves of all of their vintage watches. Like, especially vintage, like, decades and decades ago, right? So they're doing sourcing, and there are other qualified people to be doing that sourcing for those brands.
Of course.
You know, and there are dealers everywhere that are doing that.
Well, the people that are sourcing for these brands could just as easily be sourcing for themselves under their own brand.
Right.
You know,
Exactly. So yeah. So I think it's interesting. I think that it is a great, reputable place to go. But you know, I don't think that it should make buying from a dealer scary or dangerous. I think it just depends on how well you know the people that you're buying from.
And that's ultimately it, right? Because you're buying from Vacheron Constantin themselves, you feel like you could never, be hurt, and that's probably right. Right? You're probably right that Vacheron Constantin, this massive brand, would never do anything, felonious, right? To you specifically. That said, they are, of course, not necessarily the best players in town, right? Best when it comes to price, necessarily, or best comes to, even quality in many instances. Who knows? That is so circumstantial. That's very case by case. I have seen the world's, best auction houses. Again, similar kind of idea there. Prestigious, the inherent assertion that the watches are legitimate and all kosher, that have made big mistakes. Right. So if Phillips can make a mistake, can't F.P. Journe, can't Vacheron, it's very interesting. I'm interested into seeing how this develops with all brands over the course of the next 10 years. I don't know other ones that are doing this at the moment. Maybe that's just because I'm unaware, but I'm interested to see how this develops. Yeah,
do you know, like, price-wise, like, are they consistent with, like, Chrono 24 prices?
Well, I don't know the answer to that question, but one of the reasons I don't know the answer to that question is because neither of these businesses have scaled this part of their business very much. Okay. They're still kind of small. They don't really promote it. Their inventory isn't very large. It just seems to be a thing they do. Who knows how this turns out? Who knows? Yeah. But anyway, the fact remains that vintage watches, like any other complex market, they're difficult. They're genuinely difficult. But that's why you don't see Theo and Harris selling so many of the uber collectible Daytonas out there. It's a freaking scary game,
right? Of
you
course.
know, and I'm not an expert in the 6263, or I'm not an expert in Paul Newman's, so I can appreciate them, and of course I could buy one, and 100% if I did, it would be genuine and real. It's not something at scale I can do.
Yes.
You know, I don't have the education to say I can look at 50 things right now and tell you everything there is to know about these 50 Daytonas, which is what you need to be able to do if that's your business.
Right. If you're jumping into that.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right. You know, when we buy watches, it's watches we know.
Yes.
Period. End. You know.
Yep. Which you can see if you go on this whole page.
Right. Exactly right.
Tons of HS. All right, well, if you guys have any questions about vintage watches, ones that we sell, ones that you're interested in, shoot us an email at info@theoandharris.com and we'll answer any questions you have.
Yeah, help you guys out. I answer plenty of emails from people that are not asking to buy watches from the shop, but asking to buy watches elsewhere. I'm not necessarily going to be, you know, that resource for you every day, but when I can, I'm more than happy to, you know, give you my quick opinion or advice on a piece. Just shoot us an email. Don't forget, this is, you know, we're about building community, right? I mean, we also have a vintage watch shop, and that's terrific. I hope you buy watches. It's wonderful. It keeps the lights on. But the community around Theo and Harris is a far more valuable asset to us than any particular piece of inventory. I've always said that. So, happy to be of help. Tank, American, or Louis? Let me give a preface.
Wait, on three.
I know.
Okay, on three. Ready? One, two, three.
American. Really, Cintre. But whatever. Long story short, Cartier, the Datejust is my favorite watch. Cartier is my favorite brand by far. No one really even comes to a close second. I suppose. I'm not even going to go into
really
because Cartier is my favorite brand. There's
not a close second.
Not that close. No, not that close. I mean, I love other brands, but no, Cartier is the brand for me.
Yeah.
I have been on a journey for the last, I'd say, 4 years.
Oh yeah.
4 years consistently looking for the right Cartier for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried everything. I've tried not everything, but I've tried whatever I could afford to try at any given moment. And
you have had a lot.
Oh my God!
Started with the Santos Dumont.
Then there were 2 variations of Santos Dumont. Then it was the Basculant. Then it was the American. And it was the Tank Louis. And I had 3 different versions of Tank Louis. Cartier is so intricate. There's so many different models and then variations on those models, and they're all so fundamentally similar. And it's just a matter of nuance and detail and finding
really
the one you want. Oh, it's amazing.
Cartier's beautiful brand.
I would have a whole box full of Cartier watches. I really would.
I don't know why you don't just keep all.
I know. It's just
the Basculant was really good.
It was a great watch. Yeah. So anyway, most recently I owned 2 Cartier watches. I still own them both. I'm selling one. One is a Tank Louis. It is available in the Theo and Harris watch shop, and it is a mint Tank Louis, Paris style, beautiful white, elongated crown, which is exactly how it should be. I love the elongated crown. Put a photo of the elongated crown Tank Louis and the standard crown Tank Louis right next to each other.
Yep.
The elongated crown is just that extra level of delicate and just rich, and to me, it's not even close. It's not even close. So. Recently, I looked at you and I said, hey, I have this perfect Tank Louis. I love it to death. And I have the American. They're just too close to each other.
Yep.
I mean, between the 2 of them, it's $10,000, and they're so repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
I really should only keep one. And it took me like 2 months to figure out which one to keep. And I've kept the American.
Yep.
And the American is objectively an inferior watch, right? It is.
Based on what?
The American that I have. No, the American. Period. I mean,
Why?
The American is a nouveau Cartier. The American is their new modern version of the Cintre. The Cintre is the real deal. The American is inherently the B squad Cintre.
For sure.
You know, but it just fits my wrist. It just fits my style so well. And I have it in the ladies' size, and it's the only size I would wear.
Yeah.
I absolutely adore that watch.
Yeah.
I adore it.
I just think that, and this is going to sound really, people are going to hate me saying this, but I do just think that the standard Tank, to me, it's a little boring.
Yeah, I know you
just
think that.
now that I don't know, maybe because I've seen so many, and I think that there is a time and place for it. I think it is objectively a beautiful watch.
Yeah,
and I would pick it over thousands of other watches.
Yeah.
But the American is really, I don't think people are wearing them as much, and I think that it looks really interesting, and I think that the length that it has is
The dimensions
really
are so interesting.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And especially for someone who dresses like you, what's more refined and more conservative, I think that it's not feminine, but it's just like a little extra.
Yeah, I absolutely adore it. You know, the one thing that I really would love, I would love a Tank Louis like the one we have with. Could you do this for me? Could you put a yellow dial in Photoshop as opposed to a white dial?
Yeah.
Do that. I would love this, and I can't wait to see this photo. This is what I would love, and I would keep both. If I had that watch, I would also keep the American because they'd be different enough where I felt like they weren't repetitive and fine, deal. I'll have both. But the both white dials, I just won't do. So that's the long answer to a very short question.
Yeah.
Do we take orders for custom straps? Yes, we do. Email us at info@theoandharris.com, and we will always accommodate custom sizing for any of the straps in our collection. What is your favorite strap at the moment?
Right now, I'm loving the Churchill. I think that it's really, it's just really beautiful. And
Has great
it's
depth.
completely, I'm going to say unisex. It's gender neutral.
Yeah, they're all.
I think that it. Oh yeah, that's true. I think, but it's really beautiful,
Yeah.
and I think that I think it will go with most watches.
Yeah.
And, a lot of ours are a little more extreme, but I think this is a classic, and I think it's a staple in any collection. Beautiful.
Lovely strap. Check out the strap shop.
What's your favorite?
I mean, the Jurassic, the Mill, the Type 1, the
Jurassic's
Crosby, the
best.
Flatiron, the Quint, the
There's some
Mare.
great.
Everything.
Name them all. We have really great straps.
All right, great. Next question. Agree or disagree that 2020 will be the year mainstream attention goes to independent watch manufacturers?
I don't think mainstream attention will ever fully focus on independence.
No. You're exactly right. Well, who is the mainstream? You aren't the mainstream. You're watching a very small, in the grand scheme of things, watch channel. You're not the mainstream. You already, inherently, you are interested more specifically in watches enough to watch a 20-minute video about it to be educated. Mm-hmm. So already, you've disqualified yourself from probably the mainstream.
Yes.
That being said, there is absolutely an uptick in attention that's being given to these brands, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
I recommend independent watch manufacturers more often than I do, I think, mainstream watch manufacturers now. I've been recommending a lot of Laurent Ferrier. I've been recommending a lot of ADC. I've been recommending a lot of brands recently that are independent. Very simply, because they're not generic.
Because they're not mainstream.
Because they're not mainstream. Well, because to be mainstream, you kind of need to be a little generic.
Yes.
To appeal to more people.
Yes.
They're not interested in appealing to everyone, so they can be more specific. Mm-hmm. So there you go. Do you think pocket watches will ever be a thing again?
No.
Why not?
No. No, because I only have so much pocket. Think about, like, you mean in their, how they're built to function? Like,
well, I like them on a desk. I like them on a desk.
Oh, well, that's not a pocket watch. It's a desk clock.
No. It is, objectively, it's a pocket watch
well, if we're talking
that you now
about,
hang on a desk.
Okay, fine. If we're talking about using pocket watches in a more convenient way, then yeah, sure. Right. But I don't think people will ever use pocket watches. That's what your phone does. Like,
no, I
don't.
I don't think that people will ever carry a pocket watch again. But I do think that in the coming years we're going to see a rise in popularity of
repurpose
of pocket watches. People hang on their desk. That you wind twice a week or 3 times a week, and it's like a thing.
Yeah.
That's and why?
It's cool.
Because you can own some of the world's best brands and best complications for, comparably speaking, very low amounts of money. When it comes to pocket watches. You can buy a complicated Patek pocket watch for, when I say a fraction, I mean a very, very small fraction of this, the equivalent wristwatch. Mm-hmm. So that is certainly a frontier. That's not the next frontier, but it's it's out there. Great. What is your favorite part of the T&H success story? It's 5 years ago today that you and I spent the first night working on the company.
The first that
all
was
night.
insane.
You
First all night.
Literally,
I failed my German test.
Yeah.
We spent 12 hours taking horrible photos.
Yeah,
it was great. I think that my favorite part is working with you. No, I think my favorite part about what we've done is that you and I have been a team and so closely connected this whole time. I feel like I know you really well. I feel like you know me really well. We trust each other entirely. And I think that it's a total blessing to be friends with someone you're building something with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
That's my favorite part. I mean,
when you build something, and we've only ever built one thing, right? You've only built one thing. I only built one thing. Anyone that comes on after it's profitable, really profitable, not just you made $100. Anyone that comes on at a certain point, they were not there. They weren't there when you were actually doing, and you will 9 times out of 10 you will never get the kind of like respect or or the leeway or the whatever, none of the bonding that the people there at day one, that's the and you can't replicate that membership. I mean, from day one, I mean, I think technically I hired Aaron a couple of weeks before you. So, and Aaron, who I was our webmaster, was an employee of some people in my family before that. So like, we talked on the phone, and that kind of made it real, because I was telling a stranger about this thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whereas with you, I mean, whatever, you were some girl that I was friends with. Yeah. So if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. Whatever, the company. But talking to this stranger about it, and then doing it together, all three of us, no one will ever be able to, say they did it with us. Yeah.
And that's not inherently a bad thing if you hire new people for a million reasons.
Of course, no, it's amazing.
And there's no disrespect there, obviously.
I look forward to the day that one day you're not the best person at your job, I'm the best person at my job. We have to hire people to do our jobs. That's gonna be a great day. It's a shitty day. It's a sour feeling. But
it means we're growing. And I think the fact that we are close, and you started this company when we were both in college. We just had this a totally different, not less professional, but just get it done mindset. And so we spent nights in my up in my dorm doing this work, and we were doing it while writing our theses, and it just became, it's kind of like a way of life a little bit. Like, it's just you just do whatever it takes, and now we're here, and we get to do these amazing things and make these beautiful videos, and it doesn't feel real. Like, it doesn't feel like we were working on a company. It feels like we were just we were building these ideas and they worked, and it was just cool, and now we're here and we get to do it. That's amazing.
What's kind of funny, the watch shop that this obviously became profitable 2 years into the business, which was 3 years ago. And that's when it became a real, a genuine business. And it's only really now, though, 5 years in, that we are able to actually start doing things that we knew were the future of the company from year one. Yeah. Right, which were partnerships, right? Big partnerships with big brands, because we know how to storytell better than a lot of our competitors, maybe actually all of our competitors. And I mean that. And when I say we, I mean, it's heavy on your end. Maybe inequitably so, but we work really well together, and the fact that we can now, do partnership with Grand Seiko or some of the other brands we're talking to right now, which you guys are going to be blown away come April, May. Let me just say that. This is literally what we've been talking about for 5 years, like right now, and that feels amazing to be doing it. Yeah. My favorite part of the success story, and I know that you share this as well, not to the same level, just because this is an area which we're dissimilar, right? You don't, you never did this to be recognized. You just did this because you enjoyed it, right? So, I certainly did, right? I certainly did do this to be recognized in many ways. Everyone knows this. I did not have a super good, upbringing in school and things like that. I didn't have a lot of friends, and I was kind of bullied and whatever. And absolutely, I would be lying to say that one of the best parts, not the best part, but one of the best parts, isn't that this. When you walk into it, when you're in a social scenario, you never brag, you never talk about it, you never make anyone else feel bad. But there are people that I run into all the time that I remember them, thinking that I was going to turn out to be and now I was going to say very humbly, but I guess it's the opposite of humble, absolutely knowing that there's a subtext in our conversation that they were wrong, and they're actually the worst people in the world. And I genuinely do appreciate that, and I'm going to get hate for that remark and whatever. But everyone else out there that's ever, either one, been open enough to hear what I'm saying, or two, done this, you're smiling, like you're smiling.
There's at least part of that for everyone.
Certainly, and that being said, you're not supposed to live your life trying to get back at the people that wronged you. So not the case.
Right.
But it's certainly one of the sweeter moments, and
Well, there's also, I think, inherently, if you're starting a company, I think there always is are you sure you want to do that? Like, are you sure that's gonna work? Are you you really from anyone, from family, from friends, from whatever? And I think that if you can sit there and be like, yeah, no, it worked.
Yeah, it did.
Then there's gonna be that, because it doesn't matter how much support you have, you're gonna feel alone a lot of the time, which I know you did.
Yeah. Oh my God. Don't even into it.
So, but but even if you're not trying to get back at people, that's not what you said. But if it's not for that, it's at least for.
It's very easy.
I did the thing that a lot of people A, couldn't do, most people, and B, a lot of people didn't think I could. And I did.
Yeah.
So
I remember when to the extent that we actually absolutely share this thing, is when you came home from some break or whatever, and you were at a dinner party or something like that, and someone kind of made a remark almost belittling what you did.
Oh yeah.
And that felt like then what you told me of how it felt.
Oh, awful.
And it wasn't until fairly recently when you actually, like, all this hard work started delivering things that everyone else understood how big they were, that you were like, yeah, I kind of told you this 2 years ago.
Right.
This could be an extra 40-minute video. But the one thing is, and I've talked to a couple other entrepreneurs about this. I think that it's a cultural thing, right? Where I come from, specifically East Coast, so New Jersey, New York. From what I understand, entrepreneurship is not as revered as it is in other areas, specifically like California. Specifically San Francisco and things like that. To what I understand, and even Chicago. Anthony, our friend, says that the environment in Chicago for entrepreneurship is incredible. Right? Like, it's super supportive. It's not like an embarrassing thing. Like, it's actually a really good thing, and people are taught that. Whereas, kind of where I grew up, it was much more corporate. You either got a corporate job or you were honestly an idiot. And everyone would be like, oh, that's really cool. You're doing your own thing. That's really great, man. Like, respect. I mean, I chose to go ahead and make money for a living, but it's really admirable that you talk about watches. Like, that's amazing. Like, I admire you. Yeah. That was kind of that was the environment. It was the environment. Nice. So that's why, and I was talking about this before. When we talk about answering customer emails or potential customer emails, when they say, "Oh, I'm looking to buy this Kerman on Chrono 24. Can you help?" And if I can, I always do. Yeah. Sometimes I just can't. And I'm sorry about those times where I'm late. I'm late to the ball, or whatever. Right. But I can't tell you how many times in a week I'll answer an entrepreneurship email, right? Or an entrepreneurship DM, which is even more popular. I get hundreds of DMs on my personal Instagram specifically every week from people that are entrepreneurs, and you have this just bond, and that's, I love watches, but I love watches more than any other material item in the world. But entrepreneurship and bonding with people that are going through this kind of common problem, journey, struggle, that's just the best, man. Anyway, happy 5 years.
Happy 5 years.
Thank you so much for everything.
You're so welcome.
Happy 5 years to you guys too. Thank you so much. I know so many have been here for the last 5 years. Yeah. So
thanks for being here.
We've gone on like liquor run rants, 3 glasses of wine in, and told you how much we love you guys. But I'm not going to do that now because I'm not 3 glasses of wine in. But the truth is, you're looking at 2 faces of people's lives who you've changed. Very genuinely. What would you be doing? What would I be doing right now? Right. Very underwhelming things probably. So thank you guys.
Yeah. Could not have done it without you.
Yep. Adios. Like this video. Subscribe. What is up, Watch fam? I am Christian from Theo and Harris, and today I'm here at London Jewelers' incredible watch salon in Manhasset, New York, and I've picked out 4 incredible Rolex Submariner alternatives from Tudor, Blancpain, Omega, and Longines. So let's dive in.